doc here. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to do a little talk and then I'm going to start with the slides. So the internet was meant to share information. And the way that information was shared was to make a copy in order to share it. So this was great for consumers and kind of terrible for the creators of the information. So blockchain was the technology, starting with Bitcoin, that allowed financial data to be sent but not copied. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that if I'm going to send Joy $1 through, like, that's a digital dollar, there has to be a very secure and very well-working technology that would make sure that the dollar went from my account to her account and I didn't still have the dollar. Right now, when we send emails, when we send JPEGs, when we send photos, when we send documents, we're making a copy. It doesn't matter because that's unsecured data. But cryptocurrency is secured data. So you must no, there's not slides yet. I'm going to do slides in a second. Yeah. So, so you must make, right now you make a copy. So blockchain was the technology. The same blockchain technology that was applied to cryptocurrency, enabling making sure there's not a double spend problem. I have $1 and Joy has $1, we're just making dollars out of nowhere, was then applied to data other than money. And that's what's revolutionizing the value of information. Since now the creator can choose when and how and if they want what they've created to be copied or to be shared or to be monetized. All right, so right now, what we're talking about is NFTs, so fungible versus non-fungible. Fungible means exchangeable. So that means the dollar that I send to Joy, it could be any dollar, it does not matter, okay, or the Bitcoin. Sort of within reason. The more you know about cryptocurrency, the more you know that each Bitcoin or instantiation of the Bitcoin is separate from another one, but still they're fungible. You don't really care whether you have this Bitcoin or that Bitcoin. You just care if you have a Bitcoin. But with NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens, you cannot exchange one beautiful graphic design for another beautiful graphic design. They're not completely interchangeable, right? You can't take one photo and say a photo is equal to another photo. So anything with a human input is non-fungible. Of course, unless you make copies of something, then that's different. That's like a series or something. So, so the thing but the trick here that's important for you all to learn about is that when we talk about data information, right? I said information cannot be shared. Or information, can be protected or it shouldn't be copied. People think about the NFT as a piece of art, a photo or a JPEG, right? Whatever. But really what's going on is everything that we do digitally is a file. Everything we do digitally, what you have on your computer, when you look for something, it is a file. Everything is a file. It might be a JPEG file. It might be a .doc file. It might be an HTML file. It might be a JavaScript file. It might be a movie file, a spreadsheet file. But the fact is, information like that is labor. Every file that you have created took some kind of labor. So now I'm going to start with the slides. So let's just go there. Somebody said, yeah, okay, so now I'm going to share my screen. Hello, Yasmin and Charmy. I'm very sorry. I do not know what is going on with this really difficult issue and the Zoom for this class alone. But anyway, welcome. And I'm going to have the other students explain the beginning part to you all at the end. Okay, so yeah, all right, so y'all know who I am. Okay, so this is a funny slide because this is what we have been doing with data, is we just keep copying and copying and copying data, but even a slice of bread took someone time and energy to make, right? So what we're doing right now is we're copying all sorts of slides and files and everything all over the internet. And so it's blockchain that is now enabling us to protect each digital item, starting with money, but now moving into regular data or financial data, and protect it through the non-fungible token. And before I go any further, I want to keep it really simple and want you to always think of this. Cryptocurrency is digital money. Blockchain is just a ledger or a database of transactions. So a blockchain just says, Elizabeth gave Joy $1. And then Joy gives Josh $1. And then Josh gives Joy $1 back. So whatever it is, it's just a appendable only ledger or database that says what happens with the transactions. Nobody gets to go in and erase. Let's say that Joy gave Josh $1 and then Josh didn't give her the pen that she wanted. So Josh needs to give her the $1 back. You don't erase that Joy gave Josh the $1. You put an append and say that Josh gives Joy the $1 back. Okay, so a blockchain is just a ledger or a database of transactions. That's all it is. Who owns what, that everybody in the world can kind of keep track of and see. Okay, and then NFTs are digital goods. Okay, digital goods, and they're stored in files. They're 3D files, they're movie files, they're audio files, they're documents, whatever. Okay, so that is sort of the first thing that I want you all to understand. It's actually quite simple when you think about it. I don't want you to get too confused. All right, so here's another example. Everything that's made has some kind of metadata that says who owns it, when it was originated, and maybe some other parts of it, where it originated, whatever you want, metadata. So if Joy buys this picture or of a man throwing a discus or something like this, then the ownership would show that it went from Elizabeth to Joy, but it would say that Elizabeth created it, right? And then the blockchain would say that Elizabeth sold it to Joy for a certain amount on a certain day. But it would show that the minute that I put it on the blockchain, it would have all the metadata that I chose. I'm saying that, let's say I made this, photo or image or something. So the minute that I put it up there, it's minted, on this day, March 29th, at this exact time, so that you can see the origins of the content. All right. So now I want to get, so that's a little bit of the NFT and crypto thing. And why is it connected to this whole metaverse thing and Web3? What's going on there? So everything in the real world is being recreated in the virtual world. All right. So, just think of the world that we live in and mirror it. So that's why there's, bottles and, hold on. So that's why there's all kinds of things in the virtual world. And we're going to look into that a little bit more. So while I'm giving this presentation, I want you to think about this. What's better in the real world? What's better in the virtual world? And what's better as some variation or combination thereof? All right, so 60% of Gen Z and 62% of millennials think that how you present yourself online is more important than how you present yourself in person. So that just basically means that the younger you are, and if any of you all are very young or have very young siblings or children, you can see that's why people don't care at all if they've got a selfie stick out to here and they're at a restaurant and they're trying to get the best picture. They don't care if they look like a fool in the restaurant because they're getting the best picture for their online reputation, because their online reputation matters more. And so that's starting to show that the virtual world is real. So, all right, but yeah, before I go into that, so what do I mean by the virtual world? People, this right here, this is a virtual class. So I call this like 2D virtual worlds. And then it goes into 2.5D and 3D. So we're virtual right now. And you know, the metaverse, no one has a complete description of what the metaverse is, but we're going there. We're moving there. Not our entire lives, but big portions of our lives. So this is, I'm going to give an analogy, and then we're going to, you know, talk about other things besides shoes. But so my son went off to college this year, and I asked for him to pack. And the first suitcase that he came down with was this right here, a suitcase filled with shoes. And I think it's pretty funny because, you know, shoes are a very useful thing. They are a utility. They have utility to protect our feet. But most of us have way more shoes than we actually like need to protect our feet, right? So there is some style and culture and symbolism going on here. You can already guess, you know, what he's trying to say or portray about himself, right? This says a lot already. And all of us have shoes, a lot of shoes that are for things other than utility. So some of the first digital sneakers were made by this guy, Ferocious, who has gone on to make a company called Artifact, RTFKT. And he just took his kinds of drawings that he did over here and started to make these sort of digital sneakers in 3D that he thought were cool. And this was at the beginning of 2021. And then shortly thereafter, Gucci started this try your augmented reality, where you can get the Gucci app and you can pick through a variety of shoes and put them on like this. And you can try on shoes that you would actually buy in real life. But then they started selling shoes that you could never wear, but your avatar can. So this is my friend, Kadeen James, and this is her avatar. And she's wearing some digital fashion, some fashion that doesn't exist in the real world. And she looks, you know, way better than the avatars that you typically get in Fortnite or VR chat or Ready Player Me or any of those things. And that's where everybody wants to go. And they want to dress themselves up in all kinds of clothing. This past week was the Metaverse fashion show, and every major brand had a huge presence in this virtual only fashion show where you get clothes for your avatar. But speaking of Ready Player Me and Artifact, RTFKT, now you can go to Artifact, you can go to Ready Player Me and you take a photo of yourself, and you can make an avatar that looks kind of like yourself. You'll see what happens when you go do it. It's called Ready Player Me, and you can make an avatar, and you can pick out all kinds of things about yourself, but it's still pretty cartoony looking. But you can now buy fashion for that avatar, and Artifact was bought by Nike, and now they're making a whole line of shoes just for your avatar. So the thing is, all of these things are being sold as NFTs. So instead of having the stock, you know, they might have a series of 1,000 pairs of shoes like this, just like when you go to the store and they have a lot of the same shoes, but there's a series of them. There's a 1,000 or 10,000 or a million of a certain Nike shoe or a certain Gucci shoe. But you still pay for each pair of shoes that you get, and they're yours and they belong to you. So that's the trick of this, is that now the anticipation with Web3 and decentralized commerce is that when you buy a pair of shoes like this, you can take them from one Web3 world to another, and not just have them only in, say, Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto or whatever game you're playing in. And on top of that, there are now sneakers that are real life sneakers. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, the sneaker culture is a collectible area of, you know, huge area of fashion. So you can buy physical sneakers, but that have a tracking that connects to the blockchain, so that you can prove that these are original and not knockoffs, and that you were the first person to buy them, and that another person, if they want to buy them from you, then the transaction happens also on the blockchain. So you can see that there's a lot of things that people are trying to do, an actual painting, but that's being sold on the blockchain so that it can be guaranteed and verified that it is not a fake. And, you know, lots of people spend time creating fake Gucci things, fake tennis shoe things. So there's a lot of effort in this area as well. And that's often called the phygital. So right now, what people are looking at is how to connect the pixel and the penny. That's the NFT. Like, how does something that you make or write or do online, the pixel, connect to finance? And the pixel is the smallest, you know, I mean, that's not the absolute smallest, but it's a very small increment of a digital thing. A penny is a very small increment of a financial thing. The atom is a very small, you know, instance of IRL, real thing. And then the second is the time it takes to make these things. And right now, the metaverse is being built by all of us. And there needs to be a lot of attention paid to who should own it, what should be monetized, and a lot of questions that you probably have in your head are probably really good questions that many other people are trying to understand and you're working on right now. So all the questions that you have in your head right now are very valid. So there's a lot of people trying to understand these frameworks of the metaverse. I'm just showing you two, just to show you that these are ways that people are thinking about things. I'm not going into what the right framework is, but just something to recognize. A lot of people are thinking about all of this stuff. Okay. So any questions before I go on? Okay. All right. So now, so Web3 is value exchange as opposed to information exchange, and which we've kind of just gone over. Self-sovereignty is something that is for better or for worse. And what that means is, like, you've probably heard of people who had their Bitcoin and then they lost their password, or lost their device and lost all of their Bitcoins. So that's real. Bitcoin has not been hacked ever. What's typically happened is either people have let other people see their passwords, or people have lost their money. And the great thing about owning your own data and owning your own money and protecting your own money and not having a middleman like a bank to interfere is that if you lose your password, there is no they to go help get it back. There is no man, you know, for better or for worse. There is no body to go and say, I lost my password, I need to get it back so I can get my money back. It's all on you. And as we're starting to own our own data, like maybe even our own financial data, our own artistic data, our own whatever, you know, health data, whatever it is, financial data, we are becoming much more responsible. And, you know, with great freedom comes great responsibility. And that is very true. So I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the range between self-sovereignty to total, like no, you know, freedom in a second. And then the re-decentralization of the internet. Originally, the internet was not, you know, it was a public good and it was not really seen as anybody owning it. And what happened is, you know, different platforms started to put gates around their platform, say Facebook, and you have to have a login to get into Facebook, and they own everything on there. You have to have a login to get into Spotify, and they own everything on there. And you can do all kinds of things in those environments, but the minute that you leave, you cannot take anything out with you. So that's, so people call this sort of the re-decentralization of the internet. Yeah, instead of a company owning your identity and granting you access to other applications, you'll own your own identity and choose which applications to interact with. So you'll sign in more as identity in your wallet, where you'll say, oh, you can have access to these parts of my data, as opposed to logging into the application. Yeah, this is where the idea of storing things other than money in your digital wallet, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and eventually all of your data, that's a possible, you know, expectation. All right, so I've kind of, so I want to talk about this mixed reality continuum. I think you all already saw my, some of my stuff on augmented and virtual reality. And I'm going to go over a little bit of it, but I want to talk about two continuums. There is the real world, and then there is, on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, is the virtual world. So the real world is when you're in the real world with no electronics whatsoever. And the virtual world is when you are in, say, a VR headset with audio, where you would have no concept of what's going on in the real world because you're so immersed in a like a headset with audio, maybe even with haptics, like maybe even a suit or something. That's like the most virtual you can get. But most things we're seeing are going to be somewhere on a continuum here. Like right now, where are we on this continuum in this virtual classroom? We are not just completely in the real world. We are all staring at each other and listening through a computer and seeing through a computer. But we can also see everything in the real world around us too. So we're somewhere, you know, in here maybe. Augmented reality, where you look through your phone and it changes, like the Gucci shoe example. That's down in here somewhere, where you see the real world, but you're augmenting and putting some an information overlay on top of the real world. And as I said in the when y'all watched the stuff about augmented and virtual reality, mixed reality is when your augmented reality understands the real world. So instead of just like, so it knows sort of where you are, it knows that there's surfaces in front of you. Like if it's a Pokemon Go, it knows to get on the table. It knows not to just hang in the middle of the air somewhere. It starts to kind of show that it understands the real world. So this continuum, I also want you to think about when we get into the cryptocurrency and all of that. Some of you know a little bit about cryptocurrency. So there's sort of the decentralized or the centralized world all the way to the decentralized world. So Bitcoin is an example of total decentralization. There is nobody that can change the code in there. There's nobody that owns Bitcoin. The community owns Bitcoin, and they are the ones, the community keeps track of all the transactions. There's no centralization. Ethereum has a governing agency, a governing body. Oh, I'm sorry, that was my Siri talking to me. Ethereum has a governing body, so there is a little bit of centralization. Solana has more centralization. Blockchains that are put like within a company, something that just needs to be kept within a company that's not really meant to be a public blockchain, that's totally a more centralized blockchain. So there is a striation, just like this, for mixed reality, for centralization. So I want to just make sure you all understand that continuum. All right, so y'all should have already seen these slides from something I did earlier. This is, you know, mixed multiplayer virtual reality. You know, one person is in another country and they're playing this game. This one is at the Center for Civil and Human Rights, and this is just augmented reality. And again, augmented reality, probably many of you all have played around with this, Pokemon Go. And this is a horrible picture, but this is, again, augmented reality that really, Snapchat is one of the most, the furthest along in augmented reality, and especially recognizing real world and mixing reality, because this Snapchat recognizes where the eyes are and where the mouth is and where the head is, roughly, but it is mixed reality because it's not, because it is recognizing something about reality. And this is, again, this is mixed reality because this virtual world knows where the ground is and knows to lay this virtual mushroom forest on the ground so it understands the real world. All right, and y'all have already seen this. Well, y'all haven't seen this. So how is the virtual world made? With all of these, a lot of the 3D stuff that's being created right now, these are the softwares that are creating virtual worlds. Most importantly are game engines. Unreal, and I don't know why Unity is not on here, but Unreal Engine and Unity virtual world building. Started off as just game engines, but now people are doing all kinds of stuff in them. And those softwares are free. Blender is also an amazing software. It's also free. All right, I'm not going to go into this. Yeah, so game engines, Unreal, Unity, and Roblox, Minecraft for younger set. This is 2D world building. So it's just sort of showing you how you get the look of the Matrix. But this is something that you all have already seen, but I want to talk a little bit more about it. So rigging is capturing someone's motion. And you all have probably seen motion capture that looks like this, where you see how behind the scenes, how somebody's motion is captured with the little dots on them. And then they do the motion, and then the motion is applied to say something unreal, like a monster or a panda bear or a person who can't dance or a person who can't do all of the tricks. But rigging is, you can buy movement that you can apply to your avatar. There's a huge marketplace for that kind of stuff. And I have now bought motions as NFTs from people who've made these different kinds of motions. So the more the more spots on a person's body that you capture in their motion, the more granular and nuanced and specific the dance is. I mean, you can do motion capture for something like $150 or even an app on your phone. You can capture a motion that can very roughly apply it to an avatar, but you're not going to get like fingers and face and head turning and like really gentle movements. And the more nuanced a rigging is, the more detailed the movement can be. So rigging is a really important part to the virtual world. Skinning is another important part because, like I was saying, you can go buy these virtual sneakers and virtual fashion. Well, the fashion needs to fit to your avatar. And you'll see when you go to make avatars, you can make them, long, tall and thin, or wide or short or muscular, whatever you want. And so, yeah, so this is some, it's an unfortunate name, but that's what people call is skinning, when you fit virtual clothing to a body. And the higher end stuff, the more, it morphs to the avatar's body. The lower end stuff, it just sort of roughly fits on there, just like tailoring in the real world. Digital twins are something that came from the manufacturing industry, but now, like I said, everything in the real world is being created in the virtual world. But what's really interesting is you all can imagine that before they built this, whatever this machine is, they probably, used AutoCAD or some kind of, engineering software to build all the parts before they manufactured them. But now what people are doing is using these digital twins to also make simulations. So before you even, because now you can make these things rotate with real physics. And those game engines that I was showing you, you can actually make it where this spins at a certain speed, that, you can add vibration to it. But what people are doing is a lot of times like traffic data. Right now, if you're a data analyst and you analyze sort of traffic flow at Georgia State University, you would look at it all in a database and you would see, oh, okay, this, we can see that, from 5 to 7 is when the most traffic is happening and most of the people are going to this location or that location. So that's great in a database, but with virtual worlds, you can simulate it and you can visually look at how the cars are moving and make, you know, total twins of the simulation of the traffic. And that gives you a new perspective and new ways of looking at things. Again, here's, this is Matterport, and they're basically scanning everything. It's a company that is went public recently, I mean, in the past year or two. And basically it can basically scan your environment perfectly so that you can then use augmented and virtual reality to understand the physical space of where you're at. And even, and that's why if you've ever used an Oculus Quest or something, it recognizes things enough where it knows where the floor is, and it can see that there's things in the way when you create your Guardian, if you've ever used a Quest. This is Georgia State. This is our volumetric capture studio. This is where you can capture full live performances in photoreal as opposed to avatars. And I'm going to show you what that means. We're the only, in the Southeast, we're the only place that has this. We were the first, one of the first places in the United States to have these, this volumetric capture, but now it's becoming a little bit more common. I'm not going to show you this video. I'm going to show you this video. Oh, no. I'm going to show you this video. Get it. So what's I'm showing a video, but this 3D. Actually, let me show you something. Well, let's just don't stop writing discount John with DC John, and they all look so wrong. It's ding dong, like I put the phone, y'all like me, it's on. I need you and her in the room. Okay, what's special about this is that you can capture someone's performance where you can then see it from any angle, close or far away, so it's able to capture the depth and the 360, which is really amazing. So that really starts to create incredibly real looking virtual worlds. So that's volumetric capture. Sorry. Digital twins. So some people anticipate that you will loan your digital twin out to do things like maybe come to class for you or teach your class for you while you're doing other things. Or to maybe be a sports announcer for a video game while you're doing other things. There's all kinds of really interesting business models going on there. There's also a lot of questions on who owns your digital twin, et cetera. So in the virtual world, though, you know, in the real world, we have physics. You know, there are only certain kinds of clothing that you can wear. There's only certain things that you can do. But in the metaverse, you know, you can wear clothes that are like live snakes that are on your head, or you know, where your feet are, you know, you can make an avatar where your feet are 40 feet long, whatever you want. So that's, you know, that's what makes virtual worlds, you know, that's what they do better than in real. So again, like I told you, think about what's better in real life and what's better virtual. And then I don't know if I showed this in there, but MetaHumans is, so Unreal Engine is one of the free game engines that I was telling you about that you can get. MetaHuman is also free, and you can create humans
outright quality that you'd expect in a AAA game traditionally
that never existed. This person does not exist. This is AI. And it's unbelievable.
Making sure that anyone can use this tool, that anyone can create a character in minutes or hours. It used to take weeks and months. And all of that has to work with that. Outright quality that you'd expect.
All right. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into that. Yeah, so I think that I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So questions, comments?
That's very cool. It's really neat technology.
Yeah, well, but I hope that it was also informed you all of the NFT and why crypto and NFT and Web3 is so important right now.
Well, I really appreciate the sort of overview of the terms. So now I'll be able to be knowledgeable and speak to exactly like what I'm meaning, because I'm currently working in the space. So that was really helpful for me.
Good. I mean, are there things that you still, that I brought up that any of you all have questions? Because the truth is, we're all making this as it goes. There's people who really know virtual worlds because they've been building games and other virtual reality experiences, but they don't know NFT and cryptocurrency very well. And then there's people who know cryptocurrency and that sort of thing, but they don't know sort of this virtual world building, cultural worlds. So there's a lot of things going on and shifting and happening right now. And any questions that you have are completely valid. So I just want to make sure that you all ask questions if there's any confusion. And it's also hard to get your head around, and it usually takes a long time. It's kind of like learning a new language. Yeah.
Quick question. Do you ever see NFTs breaking away from cryptocurrency, like being able to purchase them with a credit card or not?
I'm getting text right now. I'm dealing with it right now. So yeah. Yeah, so what people are doing right now when you use fiat is what we call it, like non-crypto, to buy NFTs, then that's usually done on a platform like Nifty Gateway or Known Origin. So a lot of these ones that are sort of quasi-centralized allow you to buy NFTs with credit card. As a matter of fact, if you all know who Little Dirk is, we're getting ready to do his drop for him. And we have to have it where people can use fiat, because it's just too much friction to try to get a crypto wallet on the fly.
That was a really good question, Josh, because my sister's a creator, and her concern was, as the creator, as the artist, getting paid in cryptocurrency. So obviously as the buyer using our credit card, but and maybe in the Little Dark situation, you can explain, is their team receiving it in USD, or is it still like they have to receive it on their end crypto?
Well, they've gone all crypto, so they're okay with that.
They're okay with it.
Okay. but yeah, the thing is, the way that we're imagining it is that somebody would buy something with fiat, with a credit card, and then it would be stored on a marketplace. They can't take it off the marketplace website until they get a crypto wallet to move it to. And so it gives you the chance to buy in, but then learn how to do the wallet part later.
Yes, her concern was the volatility of the value of the cryptocurrency, mm-hmm. and making sure that when she sells something, that she's getting the value that she had calculated.
Right. Well,
which of course it could go either way. She could get more than she sold it for, but there's still obviously the risk of it being less.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because there's in this degree program, there's people that are studying data science, financial technology, and disruptive innovation. So for the finance people, basically every bizarre financial instrument that you can imagine is being applied to everything. So there are fractionalized ownerships of pieces of art. There is what you can use an NFT as collateral to borrow money for a mortgage. You know, if you have a Bored Ape that's worth $100,000, then you can put that up to borrow money. You can, so there's all sorts of, every weird financial term that you've ever heard of is now being applied to basically everything, and especially art. So it's a really bizarre world right now. So if you understand a lot of financial, you know, instruments, watch how people are applying it to, you know, derivatives. And one thing that I think you all will find really interesting is that in December, I really wanted to buy a mutant ape, and they weren't crazy expensive like they are now, but I still couldn't afford one. So I created a DAO syndicate with my brother, and so and some of other family members, so we all could put money in. That's an agreed amount of money that we all put in, and then we bought the Bored Ape the mutant ape together. Okay, so that's an interesting thing, is like these, basically it's like an investment club. And then on top of that, we also, I also joined the Jenkins the Valet writers room. So Jenkins the Valet is an ape who's writing the book and making a game from the mutant apes and the Bored Apes, and I get royalties of all the state, and I help write the book. I get to make decisions and put in writing, and then I get royalties from all the sales of the book and of the game. So it's like collaborative, you know, it's a very interesting business models happening.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So with the DAO, I mean, what when I hear that and I think about, you know, the SEC lawsuit with Ripple, and thinking it's only a matter of time before the government is going to come poke their head in these things. And
okay, so what we're using is something called Syndicate, and Syndicate allows up to 100 people to create their own DAO. It's just like a small group of people. Like for my family, it's really like 6 of us. They got around that, the SEC, because it's less than 100 people.
I've heard of those for real estate investing too. So it's essentially the same vehicle.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, so it really gets crazy with the SEC rules, and we're starting to see why there's rules, and this is going to be the year of you know, of regulations, and rightly so. It's crazy stuff going on. Yeah. Joy, do you have a question?
I'm mostly taking it all in. I guess I'm kind of curious. So where would somebody start to kind of understand how to design like some NFTs and stuff beyond just like, so I have a graphic design background, but I never did anything as far as animation or 3D too much, you know, mostly just basic graphic design. So what sort of softwares would you recommend to start learning to design in the metaverse kind of stuff, you know, like designing the fashion stuff or things like that? Like what are they using?
Yeah. So let me see what Blender, and then there's Surface Painter. Is that in here? Surface Painter is amazing for making clothing. And I use Procreate on my iPad for just drawing, and then you can start with drawing, and then you can pull your drawings in and then expand them out into 3D. That's another way to do it. Also, I buy and sell a lot on, well, it used to be called Hickak but they changed the name. It's a sort of underground, and it's so much fun because you can, it's called Tasia now, right? But because it uses Tezos, and it's very low investment. It's just something you can kind of get a wallet, you hear all this stuff about gas fees and things costing thousands of dollars. This is where I spend $5 on things and $2. And I buy and sell on there and have so much fun. And it's just so interesting. And I also learn a ton too. But I personally highly recommend playing around in that space, even selling your own stuff.
Which, I'm sorry, I missed that platform. Which was the last one you were talking about buying and selling stuff?
I put it in the chat. It's called Hickak, but it's also called Tasia. They've got a few. Let me see. Tasia. It's a terrible name. Hickak was it means here and now, and it was the most underground platform, and now it's changed its name to, oh God, I can't remember. They just really love these really weird names. Well, anyway, just go there, and that you can buy and sell there, and you get a Temple wallet. And I mean, it costs, of course, I already have a Coinbase account. So you have to do all that whole thing, but anyway, it's very fun. Anybody who hasn't spoken yet have a question? Okay. Okay. Well, anybody more questions? Josh?
Yeah, I saw on LinkedIn you had a big week last week. Are you going to share a little bit about your?
Yeah. Actually, I should share it with you all so you can see. I was, the reason why I was gone is because I was at MIT doing the reality hack, and we won the blockchain part of that, and we got 3rd place overall of 57 teams. And it's amazing. Here, I'll share the link so y'all can watch the video and see. It's actually really great for you to, it's basically like this class on steroids. It's like a sprint, and you do it in 4 days. So the first day they teach you all about, like if you want to learn more about Unreal or about different platforms, the first day is tutorials. And then you spend 3.5 days creating something, and it has to have all sorts of, let me see, Eliza Day. No, hold on. I have to go to LinkedIn to see what our website is. Hold on 1 second. There she is. Yeah, so you don't go with a team. You put your team together while you're there. You you learn everything. Well, I mean, you come with some knowledge, but where did she put? I'm sorry, y'all. Let's see. Here it is. Where's our website? Dev poster. This will show me. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. Yeah. So take a look at this, because it has the advertisement. Well, it's got a sort of, the video at the end is kind of how I want y'all to create your video. It's, granted, this was a little intense, but yeah, so it was really cool. So what we did was we created an augmented reality app where you could visualize a house where one wasn't. So like for neighborhoods who want to like approve a build, or cities that want to approve like a large building, or even like a small project, like should a bike rack go on a college campus in this particular location. So you use augmented reality and you can vote whether you like it or not, or you can vote like a variety of different things. And when you vote, you get, we made our own tokens. We called them U-City tokens, and you get a token. We use the Solana blockchain to do it. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. Fully working on the main blockchain network. Yeah, and so not which way you vote, that's anonymized data, but if you vote, so it's trying to, it's like a civic engagement tool. So yeah, that was, thanks for mentioning that, Josh. It was a really exciting week.
What AR glasses were you guys using? Is that Snapchats or?
No, every company was there. HoloLens, Magic Leap, Snapchat Lens. We were using NReal, which is NREAL. They were supposed to come, but because they're from Shenzhen, China, but because of the, they've had a lockdown on the pandemic because they've had a resurgence. So they couldn't come, but some of the people in the group already had some NReal glasses, and they're actually kind of better than they're kind of better than the HoloLens or the Magic Leap. We think this is what they look like, and you connect them to a so they're getting there, lighter, and you connect them to a Android phone. So yeah, that was cool.
I have a real quick question.
Okay.
So I've been doing a lot of work with like culture classes and things like that for the project in this class. And in a lot of our meetings, I've been kind of suggested to do maybe like a virtual reality culture class, or like virtual reality for like language. How would I get started with something like that? How do I start looking into?
Well, you know what, Caleb, great question. And actually that leads us into where we're going to go next. Start imagining what it would look like and make it and fake it first.
Okay.
And that actually gets into where we're going next. Yeah. You all might notice that on the web, I did release module 11. And if you look at 11.2, I think it is, you will see that you have a partner. And there's two things for y'all to do. Let's see. So let me, I can't remember which page it's on of your, so I have to pull up. Yeah. Let's see, content. Oh yeah, meet with partner, 11.2. So you will see that you have a partner, and I can show you what that looks like. These are the partners. So whoever's next to you in the same color, like this. And so the homework is to meet with them, and you're going to talk about business models. And that's sort of part of what 11.4 describes, is how to be creative with business models beyond just the usual either pay for one thing or subscription, or something simple like that. But there's also this experiment as prototype. And that is where, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that, but okay. So experiment as prototype is where, like if you want to make a prototype, Caleb, of how words would look in virtual reality or something like that, then just sort of sketch it up and make it look like what you kind of imagine before you get into that, and start to prove out the concept. I also really want to share with you an incredibly cool project that some people did when we were up there. They took Bernie Sanders' like 8-hour speech that he did about something, and they made a word cloud, but you're in virtual reality, or no, you're in augmented reality. No, I think it's virtual reality. I mean, totally occluded. And you're in a word cloud, and you touch the different parts, and he starts to say that part of the speech, but then you can touch other parts, and it basically makes a cacophony of Bernie Sanders sound bites all swirling around you with the words going around. Incredibly bizarre, but also amazing at the same time. So I'm going to share that with you so you can see how people envisioned words swirling around.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. So then somebody also asked last night, she was like, well, you know, I want to do something where I am teaching people financial, you know, things that they don't know about financial, the finances or finance world. And she was like, I don't know, there's no way to prototype that. Well, actually, a great experiment for something like that is to run a class, even if it's just with your, you know, sister and your brother and your best friend. Run a class and attempt to teach them the things that you wanted to teach. That's a great prototype or experiment. So what I'm looking for you all is to look for really small bets, really small things that you can do that will prove out your concept, and also just give you feedback. Let's just say somebody wanted to teach some, you know, this right here. Let's say you wanted to be an NFT education company. We'll try teaching people about NFTs and get their feedback, or make a little video that proves out, that just explains one concept. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking for. Another person had one that was how to be, they wanted to be a fair and equitable financial consultant firm. So go consult with somebody, do one financial consultancy with someone and see how it goes. So those are great examples of ways to like small experiments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Okay, cool. So what I highly recommend is that you all email or each other right now. I'm also willing to create some breakout rooms if you all want to join breakout rooms and meet with your partner now. But the hardest part about this week is syncing up with your partner so that you can have time to discuss. So what I'll do is, if anybody wants to stay around, I have created some breakout rooms, and you all can say, hey, meet me in this room or that room if you want. You don't have to, just an email might be enough to each other. But yeah. Other questions or concerns? You know, some of you all did not put your ads up, and I wondered, make sure you put your ad up on the Discord server under Innovation Studio Tuesday, IST. Okay.
I realized my mistake and then went back and put it on the Tuesday one.
Oh, say that again.
I first put mine on the Monday one and then realized my mistake.
I know, and I did that because this class is so small that I wanted you all to see a little bit more of the, you know, just other people and what they're doing, and just, you know, see, just get a wider swath of seeing what people are posting and stuff. But yeah, y'all need to make sure you post in the Innovation Studio Tuesday area. Yeah.
So we're supposed to meet with our partners and we're discussing like different business models.
Yes, you will. You need to read through 11.4, read through 11.3 and 11.4 before you meet with your partner. Because it explains sort of, it's the next part of your of the designing a business model. So there's a whole section on so right now, so the first thing you did was showing value. Now you're capturing value. Basically, you're trying to see what money can you ask for? Like, should your service be, I don't know what it is. Should a class be $10 for an hour-long class, or should it be $1,000? And if you are doing a nonprofit, then what are you asking of the other person, and what will the market bear there? Are you asking for people to volunteer? Are you asking for people to give you feedback? Are you asking for people to join something? So this is where you start to kind of just think through what can you realistically financially ask for in your sort of, if your product was working the way that you kind of imagined. We're just doing the iterative design, just like we've been talking about, and that this is the next part of the designing a business workbook.
I went back and looked at everything. I think I have actually been posting in the Mondays class. I have been posting, but I think I've been sticking to the Mondays class, and I'm sorry about that. So I just switched it over to Tuesday.
Yeah, I knew that for some of you all. Well, yeah, Kai, who dropped off now, but Kai was only put in the Monday Discord. And so that's when I started to realize it's probably good for you all to see both, but post in Tuesday, please. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yep. I can do a search and I can see when y'all are posting. So yeah. Other questions or concerns?
I have a quick question just for this week's module. I believe Kenna's my partner, and I emailed her yesterday about this week's module, but she's also not on the call today, and she hasn't replied to my email. I'm just wondering, what if I can't get in touch with her before the end of this week, if you have any suggestions?
Yeah. Let me see something real quick. Let me look here real quick. Yeah, you know what I can do? What if I say that Charmy and Yasmin are partners? All right, because Kai dropped off already too. So why don't I just say Charmy? I'm going to change it in here, if y'all are good with that.
Yeah, that works.
Perfect, because y'all are here and you should be gain the benefit of that. So I'm going to change it. Charmy and Yasmin are partners, and I'll put Kina and Kai together.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure. Other questions or concerns? Okay, if you all want to ask me more questions about what we talked about today, please feel free to either write them on the Discord or send them directly to me. I'm happy to send you all more information. I do recommend that y'all watch Banking on Bitcoin. It's a free, it's kind of old, but it's still very interesting. It's a YouTube, it's a documentary. And it's pretty helpful to kind of understand how things got started. And I will send you all tons more information for anyone. I'll put some more stuff on our Discord for people who are interested, because I have a lot of resources, and it's great for people who want to get started, and whether it's on the fully creative side or the fully financial side or somewhere in between. Okay. Everybody have a lovely evening, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, you too.
All right, thank you. See y'all.